Hey guys, it's Dave here from Model Success. How you doing? Hope you're having a great day today. So today we're going to talk about some parenting strategies that can help you be more influential with your kids. And if you're a teacher, or you're just a parent, then you could definitely use these strategies. Now, I've been a parent now for 14 years. I've got 3 girls, and they're all different ages. And also, I'm a teacher as well in the city of Melbourne, where I teach primary school age children. And I'm going to tell you, it's never absolutely easy. It's always a challenge. However, today I'm going to share 6 strategies that can really help you be mainly a better parent, but you could use some of these strategies as well if you're a teacher. And these are based on positive parenting. So we've kind of moved away from the old model, which was authoritarian, which is telling a kid what to do, and these strategies are more based on positive parenting, meaning they're based on the idea that you'll actually create cooperation with your kids. So if you're into the idea, stay with me on this video. All right, so let's go through some of the strategies, 6 strategies in fact. The first strategy is the idea of using the word would you instead of could you or can you. Many parents and teachers, they'll say, can you do this? Could you do this? Those words are actually kind of disempowering for the parent because they're not really asking the child to do something. You actually want to replace could you with would you. I mean, you think about it. When you hear the word could you, it's kind of asking, are you able to do it? Are you competent enough? While would you is actually a request to do something. So I know it sounds very subtle, but that one word can make a big shift in your communication with the child. So replacing could you with would you. All right, let's move on. Next strategy. The second strategy is a really powerful idea, and that is rewards. See, often parents will use punishment as a motivator. Like a threat. They'll have a threat or something. They'll say, if you don't behave, you're going to be grounded for a month or something like that. And punishment is like the old model. That's authoritarian. If we're moving on to positive parenting, what you actually want to use is rewards. So you might say something like, if you get along and eat your breakfast on time, we'll get some time to play some games together. Or if you really behave in the back seat while we drive in our car trip, guess what? We're going to have a surprise when we get home. There may have already been a surprise you were going to do, but you should use that reward as a way of motivating, because rewards are a strong motivator with kids. So great strategy to use with kids. The third thing we're going to talk about is the idea of structure. Some kids are really motivated by structure. My middle daughter, I've got 3 daughters. As I said, I've got my middle daughter, Serenity. She is very motivated by structure. So actually, if you write out sometimes, like the day, what's going to happen, breakfast, then we're going to brush our teeth, then we're going to get dressed, then we're going to drive to school, or you have a structure, an order, and even at the times there, for some kids that could be a huge motivator because they thrive off structure. And it's a great one to use for kids. All right, the next strategy we're going to talk about is the one of commands. And this is one to avoid getting into arguments, because many times, you may see parents, talking to their kids, and they'll tell them to do something, but the kid will kind of resist. And then before you know it, there's actually an argument happening between the parent and the child. You want to avoid that, avoid the arguments and avoid the conflict there. You simply want to use this strategy, which is commands. That might go something like this. Would you please go and clean your room? No. Would you please go and clean your room? No, I'll do it later. Would you please go and clean your room? And you just repeat the command 3 or 4 times. Eventually, the child will say, okay, I'll do it now. And actually, I applied this strategy with one of the students I teach at school. And what actually happened was I could feel this student kind of trying to get into kind of an argument or some kind of, they were trying to avoid what I was asking them to do. And I just repeated the command, I think 3 or 4 times, and eventually they just went and did it. You see, because what happens is there's always the element of the grumbles. When you're asked to do something, if you remember as being a child, when you're asked to do something, you might go through that area, that time where you're just resisting, or you've got the grumbles and you don't want to do it. But if the command is repeated in a positive way towards you, then eventually you will go and do it. So it's a great strategy, the idea of using commands. Now, we all know that children aren't always perfect, neither are adults. So sometimes we need to give them time to reflect and to feel that, to remember who's in charge. Because sometimes they may forget that, parents are actually the bosses. The next strategy is a great way for our kids to remember who's the boss. And this is the idea of timeouts. Now, timeouts are an incredibly powerful tool that I would recommend for all parents to use. And the basic rule of thumb is whatever the age of your child is, that's how many minutes they would spend in timeout. And that would be used in situations of any time where the child is misbehaving in some way and not doing the right thing, or resisting your parenting in any way. And rather than entering arguments, or rather than giving threats, or anytime you feel like you're just stressed out and you can't be the best parent, then this is a great strategy to use, the idea of timeouts for your child. And this is what I've used a lot, and sometimes you may have to use it twice in a row, because sometimes after the timeout, the child might say, they may not be ready to come out yet, so they may need a bit more time. That's what I'm really trying to say. But essentially, timeouts are a powerful tool for parents to use. And the important thing is that when they do come off timeout, that you remind them that you love them, and that like you actually separate the behavior from them. Because you got to remember that the child is not the behavior. If they were being rude, they're not actually a rude person, it was just the behavior. And you might even say that was the reason why they were in timeout, because of that specific behavior, and now that everything's okay. So you actually move on from the timeout. And at most times, 99% of the time, the timeouts are very, very effective. Now we're going to move on to the last strategy of positive parenting. This is probably my favorite strategy, and that is, sometimes it's really about letting reality be the teacher. And this is a great one if you're a teacher as well. So if you are a teacher in a school, this strategy is brilliant. Okay, I didn't actually invent any of these strategies. I just learned them along the way. But this strategy is basically the idea that A doesn't happen until B is complete. A doesn't happen until B is complete. And what that means is simply what I just said. It means that, say the child wants to watch a movie. Well, they can't watch a movie until they've brushed their teeth. Or say they want to have dessert. Well, they can't have dessert until they've eaten their vegetables. Or say they want to go out to their friend's place and go and play go to their friend's party, for example. Well, they can't do that until they've cleaned their room. And it's a great strategy to really teach the kids about responsibility and make them feel responsible. And also they know that, there's certain things that have to be done. And it just speaks for itself. It's a really great strategy. The only thing is you have to be pretty firm with it, because sometimes the child will try and talk you out of it. And you have to just stand your ground and be strong with that strategy. Now, as I said, I didn't come up with any of these strategies myself. I've just learned them along the way through reading lots of books and just experience, really. And so I recommend you to, if you're going to be the best parent you can be, to actually practice, learn and model off other parents, other teachers. I'm going to share two books that I feel that in recent years have been really beneficial. One is called Have a New Kid by Friday by Dr. Kevin Leman. That's a great one. And the one I just finished reading was by Dr. John Gray, and that book is called Children Are From Heaven. And I mean, there's so many books that you could read, but essentially you just want to get in the habit of being a good parent by modeling other parents, other great parents that are out there. And just one of the best ways is to read books. All right, awesome parents. I hope you got some value from this video. And if you did, hit the like button, subscribe for more model success videos that I'll be making. And I hope you have a great day, guys. See you next time.